So in this tutorial, we're going to pick up where we left off. As you can see, it looks a little bit different than the previous revolving tutorial, and I just want to show you what we're going to achieve. This is actually going to be a window shape that we're going to duplicate and move it around. So let me go into my channel box editor and press Control D. I'll rotate that 60 degrees and I'll hold Shift, press D until it completes itself. Highlight all of these guys, mesh, combine, edit mesh, merge, and there you go. There's your window shape. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to put this cylinder on this particular object. So let me delete everything here. Go to the curve that we created last tutorial, and I'll go into surfaces, revolve, option box, revolve, there we go, surface mesh display reverse, and I'll just dot this channel box editor here. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to hide the, well, I don't have my image plane in here, so it actually would be a good thing to bring up. So do that in my side view. And I do believe that I hid it in my outliner instead of putting it on a layer. So let me create a layer for this. Rename it to Rocket Ship IP image plane. Save that, and there we go. Okay, perfect. So it's my top view. I'm going to modify center pivot, my geometry, hold X and snap it right to the center of this line of our grid. Okay. Now I'll press 4, and what I'm trying to do is create this window shape. And although my image isn't perfect, I'm going to make everything else as perfect as I can. So I want to put this circular shape in between these 4 faces. And you're probably wondering why, and it's because when I create a union between this sphere and this piece of geometry, I'm going to create quads, and that's actually a desirable thing to create when you're using, when you're modeling. So, with that being said, I hope that was a good explanation. I'm going to simply click on these faces here. So this row all the way up into the top. Okay, and I'll go to Edit Mesh, Extract. Once I've extracted those faces, I'll go to Object Mode, and so you can see that this is totally separate than the other parts. However, the middle, the manipulator tool is no longer in the center of this. So I'll go to Modify, Center Pivot, and as you can see, it is right in the center of this grid. That's going to be really important for the rest of this tutorial, is keeping everything in the center of the grid. It's still part of that particular shape, and again, you could see that the manipulator tool is no longer in the center of this. So if I press G, it means repeat previous command, which was the Modify Center Pivot. If I press the up arrow, you can see that that extracted shape is part of the entire group. So now what I want to do is delete faces. Okay, so there's a certain row of faces I'm going to delete, and I want to keep 1, 2, 3, 4. So I actually deleted too many. I want to make sure that I have a 1, 2, 3, 4 wide all the way up the top of this. like that. A few more. And almost there. That's actually 5. This is the center, so let's do that. I can speed this process up a little bit faster if I use maybe like the Lasso Tool and do that. I don't use the Lasso Tool very often because sometimes I think it's a little bit slower for me, but I'll show you. That's a Lasso Tool. See, it's like these guys here. So I'll just simply use a move tool, highlight, just like these guys. And I know that there are some in the back that I need to delete. Voila. Okay, so the next set of things I need to do is create a polygon cylinder. So sphere. So polygon sphere, here's my sphere. I'll hold shift to create it. I'll hold V and snap it to this point. I'll press R, scale it up, and I'll move it down right about here. Hold V and snap it to that point. So it's not where my original image is, right? Which is kind of like right about here. And that's because the edges are a little bit off. So if I wanted to align it, I'll do this, and maybe scale it down a little bit. But you know what? I'm just going to wing it, and I'm going to move it right about here. Okay. So alignment is everything. So hold V and snap it there. Hold V and snap it here. So you can see that these vertices right down the center are aligned with this line, and then these vertices here are aligned with that line. Really important. Now we're going to take the subdivisions in the attribute editor and bring them down to 8. So shortcut is Control A, or you can click on this option here. Okay, that's your attribute editor. I'll click on the polysphere and change the subdivision axes to 8 and 8. Why 8? Well, I think it's a good number, and especially when you press 3, it rounds off. Still really nice. Okay, so the next step that we need to do, and I'm just going to go back, press 1, I'll rotate, actually press R to scale it flat a little bit, and when I rotate it, I want it to kind of be like right in the middle of our geometry. I want it to intersect with the geometry. Let me press F so I can frame in on it, and you can see that I have a little bit of an edge between the surface of this guy and this particular sphere. All right, so that's ideal for me because I'm going to do a union next. Okay, so I'll shift select both of these guys. Before I do that, I want to center it one more time by holding V, snap it there, snap it here. Okay. So I'll hold shift, select both of these guys. Mesh, booleans, union. And the union got rid of the backside of those vertices. Okay. But it's also left us with what we call an n-gon, which is multiple edges along a single face. So this is quad because it's a single face, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices along this face, and all the other faces here. We have multiple edges, more than 4 edges. So 1, 2. There's actually a small edge here. 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, and what I need to do now is go into the merge to center. So I'll select that vertex, I'll hold V, snap it there, I'll highlight those 2 vertices, edit mesh, merge to center, I'll highlight these two, I'll press G, which is repeat previous command. I'll click on this guy, I'll hold V, highlight those two, press G, and we are almost there. Press G. And the last part is to use the multi-cut tool to draw a line from here to here. Now you can use a multi-cut tool, but my new favorite tool is a connect, so I'll use that instead. I'll actually do two versions. So I'll select that vertex, I'll hold shift, select that vertex, and go to edit mesh, connect. I can click this guy, hold shift, press G. If you wanted to use a multi-cut tool, then you go to mesh tools, multi-cut, you click on that vertex until it turns red, that one, press return, and then here and there, press return, so you could kind of see which way is faster for you. When I press 3 now, there's the window shape, but I'm going to add a certain level of detail to this particular one before I duplicate it and move it all the way around and have to repeat that step. So it's simply going to be an edge loop. So those of you that like shortcuts, you can go to mesh tools, insert edge loop, or you can simply hold shift, right mouse click and hold, insert edge loop. I'm going to go into the option box, and relative distance from the edge will kind of works out for me, but you can see that the shape is a little bit off. So I'm going to click on equal distance from the edge, and now I actually get a perfect shape. Last but not least, I'm going to go to face, click on those faces here, like that, this guy, and let's see here. Press Control E, move it out like this, and if I press R, I'm scaled out a little bit wider, so there's some separation between this glass and this particular shape I'm creating. Next thing we want to do is go to Edge. I'll double click this edge loop, I'll hold shift, double click that edge loop, hold shift that one here, and there's one more in the inside. It's kind of hard for me to select, so I will select it here. But I'm happy I looked at the back side of this because there's some interpenetrating vertices. So and I think it's this edge here. So I'm going to double click here, press R and scale it down a little bit, and as I do that, it's not intersecting anymore. Okay. And I'll double click this edge and scale it down just a little bit. Alright, so there's my edge I was trying to find. Right here, where the window meets this shape. I'll hold shift, double click that one, this one, that one, and then we'll go to edit mesh, bevel, and I'm going to add 2 segments. I go to object mode, and there's our brand new shape with a certain level of detail to it. First is go to edit, delete by type history. I'll press W, and let's see here. So this shape needs to go around here, and if I were to duplicate it and rotate it, it's going to rotate here. So what I have to do is go to the top of my shape, hold D and hold V and snap it here, right? So when I duplicate it, it's actually going to pivot right there. Or I could simply go to my top view, all right, and hold D and X and snap it right here. See? I can go to my front view and I can hold D and move it down a little bit lower, so it's just easier for me to rotate. Okay, so I need to duplicate this thing. Control D, I'll press E and rotate it, and as I look at it in my channel box editor, I know that it's 60 degrees. Okay, and I'll hold shift and press D, and then hold shift, and then there we go. I'll highlight all of these guys, mesh, combine, edit mesh, merge, and there we go. Merging is kind of like welding an object together. So when I press 3, I get all of that detail around my window shape. Kind of like an octopus, weird octopus, but that's pretty much how to create that window shape. And in the next tutorial, I'll teach you how to create the hatch and the, I guess, supports or supports for this rocket ship. So hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe.